The beauty of New Brunswick, indeed this entire region, is unparalleled, and as you will see in some of the research, particularly the Volume 2 People story that I think you all have today, this beauty matters to newcomers in the 21st century too. As we share knowledge today in pursuit of a better tomorrow, we'll be mindful of the traditional knowledge embedded with the Indigenous peoples who predate us all here. They welcomed us as we welcome others, and entering into peace and friendship treaties signed with the Crown. So today, as we're going to discuss strategies for attracting and retaining newcomers to Canada, we must not forget that we too are all newcomers. My family, everybody has their family story, so I'll bore you for half a second. I've bored people before, so I'll make it really short. My family arrived in Halifax, at Pier 21, from Ukraine in January 1929, and they proceeded to a fox farm in Prince Edward Island, where my grandfather worked, before eventually making their way to central Canada, Montreal. I'm not aware of their knowledge of original peoples of these lands, but I, the grandson, am very proud to have the roots, some roots, very brief roots in this region, and my grandparents were always very mindful and spoke highly of it, and we all traveled to this region where they first came, and it first gave them the opportunity of freedom from a total lack of freedom. Aujourd'hui marque un point culminant dans la première année d'un projet de 3 ans. The goal is to ensure that Atlantic Canada will have the basis and people to prosper for generations to come. Our reports indicate that there's lots of green shoots and that there's lots of hard work to do ahead. Some will always say there's a big storm coming that's going to ground the project. I keep hearing that about the weather here, but when I look outside, I see blue skies and I see opportunity, and I think that's not just a metaphor. I mean that literally, and when I say I mean it literally, I don't mean the way my kids mean it literally, which is figuratively, but I mean it literally, which is literally. A project of this scale is not possible without the support of our partners at Public Policy Forum and our members. And I want to, apparently it says right here, slide will show the partners. So if it shows it, that's good. It's behind me. Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, an important partner, the Council of Atlantic Premiers, Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, as well as the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, National Public Relations, Porter Airlines, and my friend Scott McCain, who's given us some support as well. We would be adrift without the guiding hands of the many friends of PPF in Atlantic Canada. They inform our work, helping us understand where we can fit in with everyone else and make our own unique contributions as a national organization that has membership right across the country, including in this region, including the 4 provinces. All 10 provincial governments and the 3 territorial governments are members of the Public Policy Forum and involved in our work as we strive to make sure that policy in Canada works to make a better Canada. And many of these people and organizations are here with us today, and I want to thank them all. The goal today is nothing less than figuring out how to sustain an Atlantic ecosystem of growth and prosperity, where people continue to choose to make their homes and build their businesses, where populations settle permanently. The big question, and one of the big questions we've been looking at, is not just attraction, but retention, and how attraction and retention fit together with one another. Now, the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, Ahmed Hussen, himself a refugee to Canada, had badly wanted to be here today. I've had the opportunity to speak with him several times since he's become minister, and he always talks about Atlantic Canada's #1 priority, and indeed the first time I saw him was with a group of people in downtown Toronto, and there was no reason why he would start his remarks with Atlantic Canada and the pressing need to do better on immigration and people and population in this region, but that's precisely what he started his remarks with. Unfortunately, in the world of politics, there is a person always assigned a role called the whip, the party whip. And party whips are, they usually find the most mean-spirited person in a given caucus to be the party whip and make sure that nobody leaves town in case there's a vote and a government doesn't fall, even if it has a large majority. Party whips are not popular people, but apparently they have a job to do. And this all-powerful whip decided that the minister, and the whip is not a minister, so the whip actually makes less than the minister, but has greater kind of influence, decided that the minister can't leave Ottawa because that's the way it works in politics and you don't defy the whip. So he sent us two gifts today. One, his deputy minister, Martha Morgan, who will be on stage later, and the other, a video, heretofore unseen by me, and so we'll get all to see the welcoming video by the minister together. Roll video, please.
Bonjour, je suis Ahmed Hussen, ministre de l'Immigration, des Réfugiés et de la Citoyenneté du Canada. Je suis désolé de ne pas être parmi vous en passant. Je vous souhaite mes meilleurs vœux pour le sommet d'aujourd'hui. Vous lancez un projet de recherche visant à revitaliser le Canada Atlantique. Attracting and retaining more newcomers to Atlantic Canada is key to that revitalization. More immigration means a growing population and economy, greater innovation, new ideas, companies and jobs, and better support for maintaining healthcare, public pensions, and our other social programs. Thanks to our multi-year immigration levels plan, we will welcome more newcomers to Canada than in many decades, most notably through the Provincial Nominee Program. The Atlantic Immigration Program will help meet labor market needs and spur economic growth throughout the region. It'll also make it easier for employers to hire international students from the region's many first-rate schools. We're also strengthening efforts to settle and integrate newcomers to Atlantic Canada and give them the support that they need to make the region their permanent home. Encore une fois, je vous souhaite une bonne réunion au sommet d'aujourd'hui.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, so today, the day is structured around a series of presentations, discussions, and keynotes. Adrian O'Prey, President and CEO of the New Brunswick Business Council, is going to help keep the day moving along for us. And we really appreciate the guidance and assistance Adrian has given us in New Brunswick and look forward as well to recognizing her tonight along with three other leading lights at the Frank McKenna Policy Awards and Atlantic Dinner this evening. There'll be time for questions and answers in every session. We use a tool called Slido to crowdsource questions, and it tends to make things much smoother and a little bit more democratic. So all you have to do, and maybe you all want to do this now, you take out your phone. You don't check the messages from your kids right now, okay? You just take out the phone and type slido.com into your browser. So take a moment and put slido.com into your browser. Let's do it now. And once you have slido.com up on your browser, you log in using the code that's right there, #K768, which is the code for this event here. Now, after you've done that, you can submit your own questions, type them in, vote for, I hope we don't have hilarious questions that Spellcheck has created for us, but, and then you can vote also the questions. If somebody's got a better question than you can vote up their question, and the moderators will do their best to pay attention to, what you want to see answered here. That is the democratic part of this. So we encourage you to submit your questions throughout the session, and everyone who's watching our live stream today will also have the opportunity to submit their questions. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes heureux d'avoir une liste incroyable de parleurs avec nous. Il y a beaucoup d'intelligence dans cette salle. So we have some great speakers with a lot to say. And to get started, I'm going to start with someone whose name we're honored to have on our Atlantic Policy Awards, and we're honored to have him with us. I was noting just before, because Frank McKenna, who I'm about to introduce, was on our plane last night, or we were on his plane, although the plane really belonged to Air Canada. And he was sitting in a front row, and somebody came up and said, "I hear everybody was shaking your hand as they went down the row," and that's actually what was happening. I was a couple seats behind, and I was observing this, and it dawned on me that the difference between being the Premier of New Brunswick and being the Vice Chair of TD Bank is when you're Premier of New Brunswick, you put your hand out first. And when you're TD Chair, Vice Chair, people actually want to shake your hand. And I think Frank was asked for a lot of capital last night on his way in here. So I'll have more to say about Frank McKenna at dinner tonight. I'll just observe for now that I've had the pleasure of knowing Frank McKenna for many years and discussing and debating issues with him, often over lunch every 6 months or 8 months or so. On the odd occasion when we disagree, the conversation always turns into this. Yes, Premier, or yes, Ambassador, or yes, Deputy Chair of the TD Bank Group, as I give way to his wisdom and learn something along the way. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce favorite native son of New Brunswick, Frank McKenna.